Welcome back. We're here in section 4.8. The beginning part of section 4.8 is all we'll be doing today. And so it's going to be very short. Do not go make yourself a sandwich in the kitchen right now, because if you do, you're going to miss this. So this should be real short, so hang with me here and we'll be done real quickly. We're just going to talk about graphing quadratic inequalities. Okay, so this is going to compare to several things that we've done before. So our objective, first of all, today is we want to graph quadratic inequalities in two variables. So that's just on the x, y coordinate plane. All right, so here's the things. We're just going to look at a couple examples. That's all we're going to do. That's why I said it's going to be quick. Remember in the last section, we were graphing. You know, we have our, remember that U-shaped parabola? Basically, we're going to do that, and since it's an inequality, there's two extra parts. Remember, solid and dotted line, and then what side to shade. That's it. So we're just going to do two quick examples here. So first of all, what I would suggest here in this situation, probably the quickest thing to do, this is not in vertex form, so I would go ahead and just plug this into the calculator. So I'm going to go to my y equals button, and I'm going to type in x squared plus 2x plus 1. Again, remember that we're not as concerned with looking at the graph button there, but the table. So second function, table, and that's going to give me my table of values, because that's what I really need to see. You can use the graph button to kind of double check to make sure your graph looks about right. But here's what I got. And again, you might have a hard time figuring out just by going straight to the calculator, kind of where the middle is. You might be able to figure that out, or you could go ahead and still figure out the axis of symmetry here, which would be negative 2 over 2 times 1. You know, which would be a negative 1. That's your axis of symmetry. And so you know that negative 1 is going to be the center point, so you kind of know where to look on this table. And that's going to be negative 1, 0. I'm going to have negative 2, 1, and negative 3, 4, it looks like. Down here, 0, 1, and 1, 4. So I'm going to take those, put them on the graph here. So I've got negative 1, 0 right here, 0, 1 right here, 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 right here, negative 2, 1, and negative 3, 4. So it's going to look something like this. Once you've got the points plotted, you're going to figure out, is it a solid or dotted line? In this case, it's no equal sign, so it's dotted. Now, what I usually do if I'm doing this in pencil on a piece of paper, I just go ahead and draw the U shape and then erase a few places to make it dotted. But since I can't really do that in this electronic form here, I'm going to try to draw a dotted line best I can, but it's hard when it's curved. So okay, not too bad. It's a little bit more like a V than a U, but you get the point there. So it's a dotted line because there's no equal sign. And just like before, if you have y by itself, if y is greater than, what way is greater than on y? Up. So we shade above it. So it's going to be all of this in here we shade. So it's the same procedures as before. Graph the line, figure out if it's solid or dotted, what side to shade. The only difference is this time we're not graphing a straight line, we're graphing a parabola. Okay? One more example and we'll be done. Now this one is not where y is by itself, so before I do anything, let's go ahead and get it by itself. Okay, so minus 3x. So what I've got here is y is less than or equal to x squared minus 3x plus 2. Okay, now we've got y by itself, so let's go ahead, find these points again. Now this is a situation where your axis of symmetry is not going to be right on a good spot. And so in this case, axis of symmetry is going to be the opposite of b, which is going to be 3 over 2 times 1, or 3/2. So that's, or in other words, 1.5 or 1.5. So what would be the best thing to do here to get this graph totally correct? You know that 1.5 is going to be like your middle point. You won't get that on the calculator. So we'll figure that point out here in a second. But let's go ahead and type this in and get the rest of these points, and then we can fill in that vertex point there. All right, so let's type this in. We're going to have y equals x squared minus 3x plus 2. Second function table. What's going to happen is on the table on your calculator, you're going to get 1, 0, and you're going to get 2, 0. You're not going to get this 1.5 here, so you're just going to get a 0 and a 0. It's going to look a little strange, but what that means is it hits 0, and then it's going to go down a little bit further to get that vertex and then come back up again. So that's why we have to kind of figure that out on our own. So let's find out 2 more points here. Looks like we're going to have 0, 2, and then 3, 2 down here. So let's plot what we know, and then we'll finish the rest of it there. 0, 2, 1, 0, and then we got 2, 0, and 3, 2. See, that looks a little different than we normally do. So, but basically what this means is this is going to go down, it's going to dip in here a little bit and then come back up, you know, halfway through here. That's where the vertex is, somewhere down here. So let's just find that y point real quick here. All you have to do is plug 1.5 into this equation to find out what y will be. So it's just going to be y equals 1.5 squared minus 3 times 1.5 plus 2. You might want to use your calculator here. I'm going to do 1.5 squared minus 3 times 1.5 plus 2. And what I get there is that y equals a negative 0.25. So this is a negative 0.25, which that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? That it's going to go 1.5 and then a negative, so it's just going to drop right, you know, about right here. And that seems to make sense with where all the other points are. So then we can go ahead and, before we draw it, solid or dotted line. Equal sign means solid, so this time it's solid. We can go ahead and draw it out here. Yeah, I kind of missed the points a little bit, but you get the idea. And then this time, since it's less than is below this line, so you're going to shade all the stuff in down below the line. So that's it. So that's a quick overview. You got to see one here where your vertex was not in a good place and what you could do to plug it back in to find that, to finish graphing that. So just remember, graph the parabola. Then determine if it's solid or dotted, and then D-shade up or D-shade down. That is it. So thanks for being here for this short little mini one, and we'll see you next time. Hasta luego.